Warning, the following video is rated M for if you're young, you shouldn't watch this, so viewer discretion is advised. But hey, I won't tell if you won't. So, y'all remember... Hang on, let me just grab this fruit really quick. Hold on. Y'all remember me? Thank you. Thought about that one for a long time, thank you. Okay, but for reals, Remember Me, if you remember, was a single-player cinematic action-adventure title published by Capcom in 2013 and developed by everyone's favorite French folk, Dontnod. Now, I'm sure some of this rings a very faint bell, cause this game should look familiar to you. It popped up around the same time every game company tapped into this eldritch god level of developer knowledge, which allowed them to finally unlock the true potential of the 7th-gen consoles. So studios were flexing their graphical arty might. You had Irrational Games with BioShock Infinite, Rockstar with GTA 5, Naughty Dog with The Last of Us, and then Capcom, stumbling through the door with their new big boy we can play hardball IP, Remember Me. And there was legitimate hype for this too. During all the marketing, I remember seeing a post on Tumblr losing it over this game, cause oh, those graphics, oh, that sci-fi, oh, that female pro tag kicking absolute patootie! And when it came out, it received positive reviews for doing basically everything right. The term fresh was being thrown around a lot like jugglers with hot and ready loaves, so no one hated this thing, cause it was exactly what it advertised itself as. So why don't we Remember Me? The game. Sorry, I have to specify, cause the title alone is overshadowed in Google results by more, popular things, I guess. But to catch the non-rememberers up, Remember Me, the game, follows the adventure of a memory hacker called Nilin. You take on the corporate baddies of Neo Paris with your memory powers, all under the guidance of your mysterious pal, and yes, this is his real name, Edge. There's a bunch of memory flushing, plot twists, pretentious quotes between loading screens, dramatic monologues, and, well, it's a video game plot. And I could say the same thing for the gameplay and level design too. It's video game TM. You got straightforward levels with your cool hacker parkour, cinematic set pieces with environment glory shots, puzzles where you traumatize folks for your personal gain, slick beat-em-up combat with combos and power-ups, and of course, everyone's favorite, walking while talking and doing absolutely nothing else.
Yeah, can I get a McLarge pizza?
But every aspect of this game is just fine, okay, good, fair. Break out the book and look up everything for average, y'all. But that's just it. It's so alright that it's this bland haze of a AAA game, because while it is a competently made title, once you get into it, everything just feels off. As if it's trying to impersonate an Oscar bait game, but it doesn't really get what gives something personality. So you just end up with a big old, yeah, I guess this is a good experience. A 7.5 buffet, if you will. Gameplay is fluid and snappy, but it's a little repetitive. Combat has depth and options with all them pressings, but it plays like most third-person beat-em-ups except with more legs and particles. The memory rewriting segments are unique and kinda cool, but end up being simple trial-and-error puzzles when you get down to it. Levels are varied with tons of detail, but are very linear, especially during basic climbing. Graphically, the game is amazing, with a distinct art style and aesthetic, but the people can emote like fish sometimes, or their designs are awkward and uninspired. Especially Nilin, who thinks it be 2003 up in here with her denim jeans and kicking cops around in heels. The plot is enjoyable, well-paced, and memories are a theme all the way to the end, but it's also very predictable, and it can take itself way too seriously to the point of parody sometimes.
This time, you'll remember me.
Please clap.
And the soundtrack is good, but... well, no, the soundtrack actually slaps pretty hard. Check it out. But these were all tiny problems that any developer would make. But what's wild is that this was Dontnod's first game ever. But despite its more positive reception, it ended up being a flash in the pan, never really to be thought of again, cause Lord knows most gamers are 10 out of 10 or bust with these types of genres. Although shout out to your Remember Me stands out there since the beginning. Keep it real, y'all. Gang gang. Now, of course, shocker, the sales tanked and Capcom threw Dontnod into the streets to get picked up by old man Square Enix, God bless their heart. But they lost their big budget privileges in the process, so they decided to dump the majority of the next budget into the writing and voice acting for their woke passion project, Life is Strange, which in hindsight wasn't the smartest move, cause, and I'ma be nice, Dontnod, I get you wanna use games to tell some really deep emotional tales of woe with unconventional protagonists cause you think you can do them justice, and you're not terrible writers. but you're not very good either. Listen, Life is Strange 1 did as well as it did because people dig time travel lesbians, but also because it's adorably awful sometimes. Nothing beats 30-year-old European men with the best intentions trying to convey the complex emotions of sexually active American teenagers. Once again, Dontnod's concepts are just interesting enough to be smack in the middle fine, but even with Life is Strange 1's bright moments, there is just never anything or anyone that really pops. You know, like they get pretty close, but it all eventually fizzles out into an awkward time-twisting hodgepodge soup with zero chemistry and the world's easiest ethics question. So I would argue one of the core reasons Remember Me didn't do well is because the writing, the characters, and the concepts, they're all so mid. They're mid, guys, and mid just don't sizzle for a long time. In fact, I wanted to see if my Dontnod is mid opinion wasn't just me being mean, so I asked how people felt about the series' characters and writing on Twitter, and survey says mid, with some flat-out bads thrown in there, take that as you will. But after experiencing all of Life is Strange 1 and seeing how Remember Me's ending somehow goes from evil corporate entity wants to use the memory doohickeys to make a private army out of the city's impoverished goblin people, to daddy issues mixed in with traumatic childhood experiences being the cause of all of this somehow, that's when I realized Dontnod is in love with their crutches and broken ankle. But the gameplay, design, technical graphics, and art direction are all well done, especially for a first game. The creators were obviously trying, and there's a lot of potential amongst them. Like if they could build on their combat and world exploration skills a bit, Dontnod could make some crazy looking AAA games with all the bells and whistles, I'm sure. But no, storytelling is where they found their worth.
Ready to thrash. I'm so hardcore.
And this is really to hammer home my observation that Dontnod's talents are not in their ideas or writing as much as they want them to be. Nah, the talents are in the actual game-making part, like cinematic action sequences, level design, gameplay, you know, all the stuff Life is Strange has the bare minimum of. They got their priorities flipped around. They made all of this first try with a whack budget, shortened dev cycle, and skittish publishers, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. But it seems they're gonna ride out the story-driven, episodic, superpowered sad people simulator for a while, unless they actually go through with Remember Me 2 like they have hinted, but I wonder where the budget would go, and if the writers would ever feel like making a game again and letting someone else be their idea person for once. Wishful thinking, I am aware, but if there's any publishers out there with a lot of money that want to put it on a big risk, give Dontnod some cash, see what happens. Now I can say Remember Me is a decent experience that is worth checking out if it looks interesting to you, but I can't say Remember Me is underrated, cause it's not. It's very much rated. Look, there they are, there's tons of them. So it's not really a shame people don't remember Me, cause, hang on, I'm gonna just take another bite. Let me just, good. Yo, yiggity-yo, welcome to the end of the video. You know, this has been on my backlog for forever, and I'm so happy we finally got around to it. So thank you all for sticking to the credits, and this is where we shill some stuff, alright? If you like the video, if you like anything I do, please go ahead and check me out on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, my Patreon, if you want to help support the content, all that lovely stuff. And also a special thank you to Forever KT, as always, for helping with some of the jokes in this video. Please go ahead and check him out, links down below. And yeah, that's it. Check out Remember Me. It's alright. Toodaloo, everybody. Bye-bye.